Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we shortcut your path to being well-informed.
Glad to be here.
Our sources today are, they're focused on one of the biggest and, let's be honest, most overwhelming topics in business right now. The massive, complex world of marketing technology, or MarTech, and how it's being, well, fundamentally redesigned. Not just patched up, but re-architected around the customer experience, or CX.
That's absolutely the core insight here. We are not talking about just updating some old software.
No.
We are looking at a complete architectural overhaul. And it's being driven by, relentless customer demand.
Right.
So the sources, they lay out this comprehensive framework that's really designed to handle the sheer volume of real-time data, the intense fragmentation that exists today, and the speed required for modern engagement.
And it breaks it down.
It does. It identifies 7 essential building blocks that you absolutely need to succeed in this new integrated era.
Okay, so that's our mission today. We're going to unpack that architectural framework piece by piece. We really need to get our heads around the philosophical, the economic, and the technical shift that organizations have to make to get from this huge, chaotic stack of specialized tools and siloed agencies.
Which is where most companies are.
Exactly. And move towards one single, fully integrated business value chain that is truly centered on the customer. This is all about building a system that delivers value continuously.
And that word integrated is just so key. The sources really hammered this point home. This is not an incremental change.
No small steps.
No, it's a massive transformation. It spans economics, organizational philosophy, the whole technology stack. I mean, the root cause of the current mess is just the sheer speed of how MarTech evolved.
It just exploded.
It exploded. Specialized tools popped up for every little thing, and that created this fragmented reactive system. But now, customers have these incredibly high demands.
Instant gratification.
Instant gratification, end-to-end delightful experiences. And that's what's forcing this painful but very necessary integration.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Because I think if we're going to understand the solution, we have to first really appreciate the scale of the problem. We need to understand the mess we're trying to clean up.
Right. When we talk about MarTech fragmentation, we're really talking about a historical pain point. It's rooted in this relentless specialization. Over the past, say, 20 years, every single time a new business need popped up for a marketer email delivery, programmatic ads, social listening, you name it.
A new tool was born.
A new tool was born, a specialized agency, a new technology niche, or a standalone software as a service application appeared to fill that gap.
And the result was, it had to be an organizational nightmare. Because it's not just the software that proliferates, right? It's the people using it.
Exactly.
So you get this internal growth with wildly varying skill sets, different ways of measuring performance, maybe even competing goals inside the marketing department itself.
You've hit it, exactly.
Yeah.
And that complexity, that's just step one. That's just what's happening inside your own company. Then you step outside the 4 walls and you start relying on all these external marketing and advertising agencies.
The media buyers, the creative shops.
The data agencies.
Yeah.
And they all have their own ways of working, their own proprietary systems, their own rules for how they take in data and spit it out. And that just creates these oceans of disconnected processes.
And what about the actual execution? The sources detail how diverse the skills and tech are just for different channels.
Oh, it's a huge issue. Think about it. In-person marketing, right? That's physical events, point-of-sale data. That's a totally different world from media marketing.
Which is all programmatic buying and ad tracking.
Right. And that's different again from digital marketing, where you're focused on your own websites and apps. It's like a triple threat of complexity right there.
It sounds like a recipe for enormous technical debt.
It is. You have a plethora of marketing automation software providers, and then you need the professional services just to implement and integrate that software. And as soon as you need that automation to work at a massive scale, you have to factor in the sheer technical infrastructure behind it all.
The cloud providers, the hyperscalers.
The hyperscalers, data lake companies for raw storage, big data platforms for processing, and of course, the giant proprietary platforms run by social media organizations and the big search engines.
So if I'm following this correctly, what we ended up with was a system where the technology dictated how the organization was structured.
Yes.
Which naturally leads to silos, duplication of effort, and a ballooning budget with, I'm guessing, tons of overlapping license fees for tools that don't even talk to each other.
Precisely. And that lack of communication is the absolute core of the problem. Because the technology dictated the experience, the system was built for internal efficiency.
Like, how fast can we send this email blast?
Exactly. Instead of being built for customer flow. How does this email actually fit into the customer's overall journey with us?
But the sources also say the fragmentation doesn't stop even within the MarTech world.
No, it's a critical point. Even if we could wave a magic wand and integrate every single marketing tool perfectly, we would still fail if we didn't connect it to the adjacent business domains.
The ones that actually drive the business. MarTech can't be an island.
It absolutely cannot. You have to connect MarTech to domains like e-commerce.
Right, which has the transactional flow, the click streams, the cart data.
And if you don't have that integration, your marketing team is out there promoting products that a customer literally just bought or looked at and decided against. It's a waste.
And then there's the core backbone of the enterprise. Customer relationship management, sales and service. If your marketing team is running some huge awareness campaign but has no idea that your sales team is in the final stages of a massive contract with that company,
It's a disaster.
or if your service team is dealing with a super frustrated high-value customer, the last thing they need is a cheerful promotional email. It just undermines all trust.
And we can't forget the transactional data, the stuff in customer data management, in retail operations, your enterprise resource planning or ERP, and the supply chain.
So inventory, pricing, fulfillment data.
Crucial data. We'll get deeper into the ERP connection later, but without it, your marketing team is out there making promises the company literally cannot keep.
And then you have the central analytics platform, often owned by IT or finance.
Right, the one that does all the historical reporting.
And the entire online world of search engines, websites, apps, portals, all the places the customer actually experiences the brand.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming. Every single one of those connections is a potential point of failure.
And there's an economic side to this fragmentation too. Traditionally, the IT budget paid for the ERP and CRM.
While the marketing budget paid for the campaign tools.
Exactly. But when CX becomes the center of everything, those traditional budget lines get blurry. You suddenly need these complex, shared investments in things like a centralized data infrastructure. And that requires cooperation between silos that, frankly, have never had to cooperate before.
That complexity really does set the stage perfectly. So after laying out this chaotic landscape, what's the core philosophical shift that lets us pivot from all that chaos to a single integrated architecture? What forces an organization to accept this kind of massive change?
The pivot is placing the customer experience CX at the very center, at the origin of the entire business architecture design.
So you start there.
You have to start there. The transformation is driven by this huge, non-negotiable change in customer psychology. Customers now demand instant gratification. They expect a complete, end-to-end, delightful experience.
Regardless of which department or channel they're talking to.
They do not care about your internal org chart.
Right. If they're on the phone with customer support about a delivery, they expect that agent to know what they were looking at on the website an hour ago and what ad they saw yesterday.
Precisely. And because of that expectation, the new design philosophy demands a complete reversal of thinking. You don't build the technical system and then try to, wrap CX around it as some kind of bolt-on feature.
No.
You start with the desired customer experience, that seamless, delightful moment, and you design the technology architecture backward from that goal. It's the experience dictating the technology, not the other way around.
That reframing makes the chaos understandable, but it also really defines the enormous task ahead. So if CX is the heart of this new architecture, this is where it gets really interesting for me. The data model is the skeleton.
It holds everything together.
It does, and we need something far more robust, more dynamic than a traditional static database design, especially with the scale and speed of everything today.
Absolutely. The core lesson we've learned in modern engagement is that customer data is always flowing. It's always changing, reacting, engaging in real-time experiences every single moment.
So if your data model can only handle data in nightly batches,
You're already failing at modern CX. You're out of the game.
Okay, so when we design this data model, we're not just listing tables and fields. We're building the foundational structure for dynamic identity, for privacy. What are the essential components that have to be in the schema?
The schema has to include, first and foremost, what's called the golden profile.
The single source of truth.
The single authoritative resolved view of the customer. It's non-negotiable. But to get there, it's more than just linking names. It has to seamlessly blend in complex privacy and customer identification elements right from the very start.
So handling different identifiers. emails, device IDs, physical addresses.
And resolving them all to one unique ID. And on top of that, the schema has to robustly support segmentation so you can slice and dice and group the data by hundreds of attributes from all these different sources.
And the model has to support action, right? Not just description.
Correct. The data schema needs to explicitly define and capture what the sources call activity indicators. This means it allows for real-time calculations that are connected to that golden profile, and it captures all customer activities: clicks, purchases, abandoned carts, service calls, app usage.
The whole stream.
The whole stream. The data flow then becomes the critical engine, imbibing all the events triggered from all the different applications: ERP, CRM, websites, mobile apps, wherever customer data lives. It's a perpetual, high-speed stream of customer life.
This brings us to what feels like the most crucial architectural insight in this section: the need for two distinct but interconnected profiles that rely on this flowing data.
Yes.
The unified customer profile and the contextual profile. The sources say this is what separates the winners from the losers in modern CX.
I think that's right. The unified customer profile is the master historical data-centric view. This is purely about identity resolution and data merging.
The big picture.
The big picture. It establishes that unique ID, and it merges all the data, first-party, second-party, third-party data from all those systems we talked about: ERP, CRM, social media, web analytics. It answers the fundamental question: who is this customer, holistically, based on every interaction we've ever had?
Okay, so that's the record of everything, the source of truth. But that doesn't tell you what to do right now.
Exactly.
And that's where the contextual profile comes in. It defines the application of that truth.
Perfectly put. The contextual profile is the CX-centric view. It defines how that master data should be used based on the customer's immediate, present experience, their current state, and the channel they're using right now. This is absolutely vital for delivering those delightful experiences. It overrides historical facts based on present reality.
We talked about the classic example of suppressing an ad for a frustrated customer. Can you walk us through a more positive example? How does the contextual profile dictate a proactive, desirable action?
Sure, let's take browsing behavior. The unified profile knows a customer historically buys high-value electronics. They have a high customer lifetime value, or CLV.
Okay, but right now, at this very moment, they're browsing the low-end clearance section of the website. Maybe looking for a cheap gift or something.
The contextual profile registers that immediate behavioral event, browsing low-margin products. Now, if the system only used the unified profile, it might serve them an ad for some expensive new gadget.
Which they are clearly not looking for. It's annoying.
It's totally irrelevant. The contextual profile, however, dictates the immediate action. Since they're in the clearance section, the right move is to serve them a personalized, time-sensitive coupon for that specific clearance category. You encourage an immediate checkout, even if it's low margin.
So the contextual profile is that real-time behavioral layer that provides the nuance. It makes sure the action is relevant to the now, not just the past. It's the mechanism that lets the system be predictive and reactive at the same time.
And that data model is never finished. It has to have a repeat loop of what's called continuous enrichment.
Always learning.
Always. This loop has to ingest new data and continually incorporate machine learning techniques to refine the identity resolution, the segment membership, the contextual awareness. It ensures both profiles are always getting smarter and more accurate with every single interaction. That's what keeps the foundation for intelligent CX sound. So once that data model is built and the integrated data is flowing and, crucially, being continuously enriched, the next step is analyzing it. This is where the intelligence is actually derived.
Okay.
And organizations have to strategically connect their existing enterprise analytics investments with these new specialized MarTech requirements. The real challenge here is moving from simply reporting what happened last quarter
To predicting what the customer will do next week. Or even next minute.
or next minute. Exactly.
Which means we can't just throw out the established IT infrastructure.
Yeah.
But we have to enhance it pretty dramatically. What does that full, necessary analytical stack look like? The old combined with the new.
It starts with that strong foundation of what's already there. The traditional data warehouse, the business intelligence or BI tools, standard reporting, dashboards.
The stuff that's good at looking backward.
Precisely. Those systems are optimized for historical consistency, for regulatory reporting, for financial reconciliation. They tell you the past truth with certainty.
But those systems, they often choke on the velocity and the sheer volume of real-time, unstructured data that you need for CX.
They absolutely do. which is why the new age of tech demands a significant dedicated addition, a data science platform.
Ooh.
This platform is distinct. It's necessary to handle truly big real-time data flows, to create complex, predictive machine learning algorithms, not just simple SQL queries, and to drive proactive automated actions using AI.
So its focus is on future probability, not past accounting.
Exactly.
Okay, so we take all this integrated high-velocity data, funnel it through this sophisticated analytical engine, and we use it to calculate specific customer scores and key performance indicators, or KPIs. How do these metrics change when they're aimed at enhancing the customer experience rather than just financial reporting?
The sources lay out 3 types of customer scores and KPIs, and they get progressively more complex. It's a structure that forces the organization to evolve how it understands customer value.
Okay, let's start with the first, the foundational type. Transactional key figures.
These are your simple, directly measurable interactions and volume metrics. They're raw data points tied to a transaction or basic engagement.
So things like a customer's total order value or the time they spend on the website.
Yep. Total opportunity value in a B2B context, frequency of visits. They tell you the what and the how much of their activity right now. Very straightforward.
Then we move up in complexity, the second type. Complex KPIs. These require deep cross-system calculations. This is where we measure the health of the relationship.
These are derived, multifaceted metrics. They require analysis, weighting, and aggregation across all those different touch points. They capture the relationship's value and health over time. Customer lifetime value, or CLV, is the prime example.
And that's not just one number.
No, a sophisticated architecture calculates historical CLV, current CLV, and projected CLV. And to do that, you have to integrate transactional data from the ERP, service data from the CRM, and behavioral data from the website, all weighted based on margin and retention probability.
And other examples here are really crucial for understanding the sentiment of the relationship.
Absolutely. Think about Net Promoter Score, NPS, or Customer Satisfaction Score, or the really tricky one, the Customer Sentiment Score, which you often get from text analytics on social media and service call transcripts.
And of course, the probability of customer churn.
A huge one. And it's a complex metric derived from all sorts of behavioral factors, like a recent drop in activity or maybe they started engaging with competitor messaging. These metrics take you beyond what happened and start to describe the risk and the potential of the relationship.
And finally, we enter the realm of true AI-driven forecasting. The third type, predictive scores and next best action. This is about automating anticipation.
This is the real application of that data science platform. We shift into probability and prediction. The machine learning models generate these specific, high-resolution predictions that are designed to trigger an immediate action.
So, for instance, calculating the probability of a lead converting to a sale.
Right, and presenting it as a numerical score, an 85% likelihood, for example. It's like a precise percentage predicting the chance of an event.
What's the difference between that specific probability score and a street prediction?
A prediction is often binary or categorical, a definite classification. So a binary prediction is a simple yes or no. Will this customer make a repeat purchase in the next 30 days?
Got it.
You can also use categorization predictions, where the model sorts customers into groups, like determining the potential for a customer to become a platinum, gold, or silver loyalty member based on their current behavior and projected value.
And these scores, whether they're a probability or a classification, they're not just interesting facts.
No, they are the ultimate actionable output of this entire insights and analytics layer. They are designed specifically to feed the next component in the architecture.
So the entire analytical stack is just this highly sophisticated machine that's constantly generating actionable intelligence. It's the essential bridge to execution. If this layer fails, the whole idea of a personalized experience just collapses back into static historical reporting.
Precisely. As one of the sources put it, analysis without direct integrated action is just expensive trivia.
Okay, we've built the data foundation, we've established the intelligence layer. Now we have to organize that intelligence into actionable groups. Segmentation is an old marketing tradition, right? Goes all the way back to mass media. But now it's turbocharged by data science and real-time data flow. It's no longer just about grouping customers by static demographics.
Yeah, it's about modeling their behavior, understanding their journey, and predicting their next move in real time. Segmentation is still absolutely vital for effective targeting and positioning. I mean, a brand just can't afford to manually treat every one of its millions of customers as a unique individual.
Right.
A powerful MarTech platform facilitates mass personalization by creating these logical dynamic groups. But the strategy today is just so much more complex than age and gender.
And a core requirement now is that the segmentation strategy has to address the channel and the context of the engagement. It builds on that contextual profile we talked about earlier.
Yes, exactly. The segment definition has to inherently contain the context of where the customer is and how they prefer to be reached.
So a segment of at-risk, high-value customers
Is going to be modeled differently for a mobile push notification than it is for an account-based marketing email sent to their professional inbox. The segment definition itself informs the delivery mechanism.
which means you have to ingest just an incredible diversity of data sources to model these segments effectively. It really feels like the ultimate operational test of that unified data profile.
It is. The segmentation layer has to be able to ingest and model every kind of data you can imagine. Static transaction history, high-velocity behavioral data like click streams, traditional demographic and psychographic profiles, and crucially, all those newly created complex KPIs and predictive scores from the analytics step.
You're building models based on their entire digital and physical relationship with the brand.
The whole thing.
But is modeling this level of complexity from a web click to a supply chain signal, is that realistically scalable for a massive global enterprise, or is that just a theoretical ideal?
That is the architectural challenge the sources are trying to solve. And it moves from being theoretical to achievable only when the data model and the insights and analytics layers are truly integrated.
So it's not manual.
The scale is handled by algorithms, not by people manually creating segments. Machine learning algorithms running on that data science platform are constantly looking for new, useful patterns in the data to suggest or even automatically create new segments.
So the system might identify a micro segment of customers who bought product A but clicked on the FAQ page for product B 3 times but never purchased.
Exactly. That segment is generated dynamically, and it immediately becomes a target for, say, a proactive service message or a special offer.
So the system is dynamically organizing the customer base, and the segments also have to be explicitly organized around the customer journey itself.
Absolutely. Segments have to be created to map the customer journey, which allows the organization to define these specific moments or events along that journey that can act as automated triggers.
Moving away from broadcast marketing to event-driven marketing.
That's the key shift. So the event of a customer viewing a new service agreement page, that's the trigger, might automatically place them in the agreement review segment, that's the audience, which then activates a specific outreach sequence, the action.
With the massive volume of data being used here, the sources strongly recommend a centralized tool to manage it all, the data catalog. Why is that so crucial in this layer?
A good data catalog serves two really critical functions in this vast ecosystem. First, it brings clarity and comprehension.
It's like a dictionary for your data.
It is. Imagine a campaign manager trying to understand what the data science team means by Propensity Score X version 3.1. The catalog provides the formal definition, the methodology used to calculate it, where the data came from, and the rules for using it. It makes complex data usable by people who aren't data scientists.
And the second function, it addresses that organizational fragmentation we started with, governance and control.
Yes. It enforces strict data governance and controls access for all the different stakeholders. The campaign manager needs specific aggregated data to launch a campaign,
while the data science team needs access to the raw, granular stuff to build a new model.
And the analyst just needs summary reports for the executives. The data catalog ensures everyone is using the same definition for CLV or active user. And critically, it makes sure that sensitive or personally identifiable information access is controlled, audited, and follows all the privacy rules. It's the operating manual for your customer data.
All right, we've gone from the core philosophy of CX through the data model, the intelligence layer, and organizing it all into segments. This is where the rubber hits the road. This is the moment the customer actually sees all the work that's been happening behind the scenes. This is the personalized engagement layer. So what are we actually doing with all this data in real time?
This is the execution phase. The whole goal here is to make marketing to one real. This layer is all about creating high-speed, real-time activations that are directly connected to the customer experience. You're controlling and embedding journey flows with immediate actions. The system has to act, not just advise.
And given the fragmentation we started this whole conversation with, this has to be coordinated across every possible application the customer touches.
Absolutely. These actions have to automatically trigger across any customer experience connected application. They have to be true omni-channel triggers.
So e-commerce sites, social media for ad serving,
Relationship management systems for agent scripts, Mobile apps for push notifications, emails, even traditional touchpoints like digital signage or physical kiosks. If the data flows, the system has to be able to deliver the right action to the optimal channel.
And how is that decision, what action to take and where, how is that made in milliseconds? Is it still just a huge set of manual if-then rules programmed by the marketing team?
No, and that's the key. That's where dynamic automation comes in, which combines high-speed processing with intelligence. The triggers are driven by a combination of two things.
Okay.
First, heuristics, which is the rules-based logic defined by the organization.
Sure.
If a customer from segment A logs in on a Tuesday, show this banner.
The basic business rules.
Right. And second, sophisticated machine learning algorithms. And this blend is what's necessary to facilitate genuine, contextual, real-time personalization at scale.
Can you break down the role of the machine learning algorithms in that process a little more?
Sure. While the heuristics provide the guardrails and the basic business logic, the AI provides the optimization. For example, a heuristics engine might identify that a customer is eligible for 4 different product offers.
Right.
The ML algorithm will instantly determine which personalized message or product recommendation or pricing incentive they are most likely to respond to. And it bases that on their contextual behavior in that moment, what they clicked on 30 seconds ago, and their predictive score, like their probability to purchase.
So the AI is actively making the decision in real time. It's deciding the next best action and the next best offer.
Precisely. Artificial intelligence tools are driving these smart contextual experiences across the entire customer lifecycle. From early-stage clickstream nurturing, understanding what content they're consuming, all the way through loyalty programs, advocacy, and crucial retention efforts. The AI ensures that the personalized engagement is not only delivered, but that it's always the most effective engagement possible in that exact moment. It scales that one-to-one interaction across millions of customers simultaneously.
Making marketing to one real is such a powerful concept because if you get it right, the customer feels known, they feel valued, but the sheer scale of the data required and that instant decision-making power, it leads us right into the most critical guardrail of this entire architecture.
The power of this modern technology is immense, but it carries a significant inherent risk.
Which is?
That intrusive, creepy feeling customers get when a digital platform seems to know too much about them or uses that knowledge disrespectfully. The sources really stress this. Sometimes a technological strength can become a major customer and regulatory weakness if the ethics aren't handled correctly.
So respecting customer privacy and preference has to be baked in from the start.
It absolutely cannot be an afterthought. It has to be designed into every single moment of the CX.
The sources define this critical element, the guardrails, as a two-sided coin that locks the architecture down, both legally and ethically. What are those two sides?
On one side, you have the technical, operational necessity of customer identity and access management, or CIM. This is the core function of uniquely identifying the customer. It handles registration, authentication, self-service preference management, and it provides relevant controlled access to their data across all systems.
Without that, the unified profile we talked about is useless.
It is, because you can't guarantee you're actually tracking the same person across different systems.
And the second side is customer consent and preference. This is the legal and ethical requirement.
Yes, and this side addresses 2 distinct drivers. First, the legal aspect. Meeting the requirements of complex regulatory frameworks like GDPR in Europe, CCPA in California, LGPD in Brazil, all the rules governing how customer data is processed and stored.
And the second driver.
The experience aspect. Actively respecting the customer's own stated preferences for how they want to be contacted, that directly enhances the CX.
Let's go back to that critical example of the upset customer to really illustrate why CIM is so vital for the contextual experience.
Okay. In a fragmented organization, the call center logs a complaint in the CRM system, and it gives that customer a unique interaction ID.
Mm-hmm.
Minutes later, the marketing automation system, completely unaware of that service interaction, sends out a promotional email based on some older positive segment trigger.
Right. The worst possible timing.
The worst.
Yeah.
CIM's function is to ensure that when that customer calls or logs in, the customer service system is connected to the marketing system. It uses one single unique identity to recognize this is the same person across both applications.
So without that unique identification, the unified profile isn't really unified in action. The right hand literally doesn't know what the left hand is doing.
Precisely. CIM ensures coordination. It links the customer's current service status subset and complaining to the marketing execution layer. And it signals that promotional engagement must be suppressed immediately. or maybe redirected to a customer retention script. It prevents the organization from making a bad situation worse and just destroying trust.
And consent manages the legal and ethical boundary of all that power, which is, as you said, increasingly regulated everywhere.
Consent has to be tightly locked with the technology stack and the marketing execution. Because marketing is omni-channel and personalized, the consent and preference layer has to ensure ethical and compliant execution across every single channel in real time.
Which requires robust features, I assume.
It does. Things like version control of consent forms, governance over how data is used, and full auditing capabilities for consent records. If an AI decides to suppress an email because of an active complaint, the system has to be able to audit and prove that action was taken correctly, following the customer's identity, their preferences, and the law.
So, identification and consent is the architectural element that forces the organization to be ethically compliant and customer-centric, even as AI is driving automated, high-speed decisions. It's the mechanism that ensures that just because we can know something about a customer doesn't mean we should use it without permission.
So we established the architecture, from the CX heart all the way to the consent guardrails. Now, the final essential component is defining the physical boundaries of this system. MarTech has to interface with the customer wherever they are. And that means meticulously defining the specific data universes and applications that feed data in the inflow and receive activation data out the outflow.
This isn't just an integration project, then. It's a massive mapping exercise that has to account for every single interaction point. What kind of design considerations does that require?
Organizations have to structure this by defining three things collaboratively. First, their top customer data universes. Where's the truth coming from? Second, the detailed technical design. How are we integrating it? APIs, real-time streams, batch processes. And third, the functional design. What are the specific use cases and customer experiences we're going to drive with these integrations?
Okay, let's dive into the scope of these required integrations, starting with the core marketing data universe, which is already incredibly diverse on its own.
It is vast and highly specialized. Under advertising and promotion, you have to integrate data from all your programmatic advertising systems.
So DMPs and DSPs.
Right, connecting with data management platforms that handle the audience segments, demand-side platforms that execute the ad buys, and then the web analytics and tag management systems that track performance and site behavior. And that includes data streams from all ad types: mail, print, video, mobile, display campaigns.
And the technical challenge there must be dealing with those proprietary walled gardens that don't like to share data.
That's a huge part of it. Then you have the content and experience category. That captures specific data on how customers engage with your creative content, interactive media, video completion rates, content consumption history.
And social.
Then under social and relationships, you're pulling active customer data from social media communities, from influencer and advocacy programs, and critical data from self-service portals and knowledge management systems, which provide crucial pre-service context.
Okay, so that's the marketing world. Moving beyond that, the second massive universe involves the customer's device data. This is where real-time and edge computing become essential.
This is critical for instantaneous personalization. It includes the passive stream of cookie data used by browsers for basic personalization. Then you have actively managed data like the mobile ad ID or MAID and mobile campaign data, which is tied to specific user apps.
And the distinction there is important for privacy.
Very. Cookie data is often ephemeral and not personally identifiable, while MAID data, once you resolve it with your CIM system, is much closer to a unified identity. It presents very different governance challenges.
And what about the most cutting-edge part of device data? The Internet of Things, or IoT.
IoT data needs to be considered in two parts for marketing. First, data about the devices themselves and their usage, which can signal patterns like product use frequency or maintenance needs.
Okay.
And second, IoT data about customer behavior observed at the edge. This means physical sensors or connected experiences that capture customer activity in the real world.
Like location data or movement through a retail store.
Exactly. This provides the richest, most immediate contextual data for that crucial contextual profile.
And finally, we have to connect all this back to the core business processes. The third universe, lead to cash, transactional process data. This is the integration that proves marketing actually understands the business.
It is. This links marketing efforts directly to revenue, to fulfillment, to ongoing support. Under customer relationship management, you've got data from CRM sales pipelines, CRM service ticket history, and specialized account-based marketing efforts. all to make sure the messaging is appropriate for where the customer is in their journey.
Then commerce data, which dictates what products you're even offering.
Commerce requires integrating e-commerce cart data, clickstream history, and that crucial marketplace data, which is inventory, product specifics, pricing information. And it pulls in the omnichannel orders data, tracking purchases, whether they happened online, in-app, or in a physical store.
And that connection to the physical world, retail and logistics, that's where the rubber really meets the road for companies that sell physical products. How does marketing use that data?
It pulls data from point-of-sale systems, capturing in-store purchases. It uses clienteling data from personalized interactions with sales associates. But most crucially, it connects to the digital supply chain and the warehouses.
Why is that so important?
Because if the ERP system signals a low stock level or a regional supply shortage for a popular product, the MarTech architecture has to instantly suppress the ad or promotion for that item in that region. If that connection fails, your marketing team is spending money promoting products you can't deliver.
Which is a massive CX failure.
A complete failure.
Yeah.
This entire massive inflow and outflow structure is what ensures that the personalized engagement layer can truly operate across every single touch point the customer has. Hashtag tag outro.
So what does this all mean? We've seen that the architectural transformation driven by customer expectations is, well, it's complete. Fragmentation is no longer acceptable. MarTech has to be designed as one integrated, intelligent platform centered around the customer with continuous data flow underpinning every single interaction.
We've outlined those 7 critical building blocks that have to be designed collaboratively, working from the inside out. You've got customer experience, CX, at the center. That's supported by the dynamic data model, driven by high-speed insights and analytics, organized into actionable audience segments, activated through personalized engagement.
All governed by the necessary guardrails of identification and consent.
And seamlessly connected via that omni-channel data inflow and outflow.
The sources recommend some practical next steps for you, the listener, as you look to implement this kind of architecture. The complexity is daunting, but the path is organizational, not just technical.
The first step is organizational. You have to create a dedicated matrix team with expertise across all 7 of these domains: IT, data science, marketing, legal, CX specialists. The second step is collaborative design, organizing high-level design thinking sessions with experts from all 7 of those domains in your organization.
And the goal there?
The goal is to collaboratively design a holistic, comprehensive strategy while always keeping that customer experience at the absolute heart of it. That's what ensures that the technology stack serves the experience and not the other way around.
This whole sophisticated architecture is designed to predict behavior and drive real-time personalization, often completely automated through intelligent machine learning systems. And this raises an important question for you to consider as you wrap up this deep dive. If AI and machine learning are automating real-time decisions across dozens of channels, from determining the right product recommendation to suppressing an email based on distress, how do organizations ensure that the necessary ethical and consent checks aren't just a separate manual afterthought, but are actively governed, audited, and enforced by the exact same automated loops that drive the marketing actions? Can automated ethics keep pace with automated selling?